Okay, it says we're live. This is way better. So we have this awesome software that somebody told me about yesterday. And I love software. I love tools. So anytime somebody refers something to me, I always check it out. So today's really exciting. On today's live, I have Janette. She's my COO at the Centr and just amazing with operations, amazing with teams. Came from a traditional brick and mortar company. Been with the Centr now for about a year. Yeah. And she's embraced the virtual model, and she's been able to see that high-performing teams can be done virtually. So, Janette, do you want to just give a little background on yourself and
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I'd love to. So my background is in operations, and coming to a virtual world was super exciting. I'm really into the tech and technology, and when I came over, it was really hard to wrap my mind around how are you going to do your meetings and how are you going to have the break room talk. And the last company I was with, was 7 years, and coming, you think that you've built these connections and you have, open door policies, but it's such an interesting, different feel in a virtual company. You actually feel more connected, and you've got people all over the United States. And immediately you have warm welcomes from the whole company when you first come in. They're very engaging, and you get to know them really quickly, and you try to reach out. People reached out right away. In the first week, they're like, I want to meet you and I want to know what you're about. So you just immediately, everybody's just welcomes you to the team, and trying to figure out hey, what's working here at the center is just immediately, one, the people, the communication and the tools, and just making sure everybody's using them appropriately.
Yeah, great. So I was thinking about, we had a lady that started, a month ago? And every once in a while we get these employees that are just amazing, and they literally just start scheduling themselves with virtual meetings with everybody and getting to know everybody and getting to know the team. And so maybe talk a little bit about how you can kind of inundate yourself with the team in a virtual world.
You can right away, because everybody's so welcoming. You get to know your team. In one-on-ones is the best, because then you really get to know everybody, where they're at, what their skills are, what they like, how they can help you learn about what's going on at the center, what projects they're working on. And I think in the very beginning, I think Slack is the best, because you have them already grouped. You've got workspaces, you've got different channels. We've got the main all company workspace in Slack that has water cooler channels, show and tell, recipes. So it's you go into little groups of people who are like-minded and have the same thing. If you like travel, so you just kind of reach out and introduce yourself, and then everybody's just hey, let's jump on a call and get to know each other.
Yeah, it's great. So those that don't know what Slack is, will you tell them what Slack is?
Yeah, Slack is an awesome communication tool that basically all of it's almost it is instant messenger, but more than that, you really have this whole platform where you can do direct messages with people. You have grouped categories. So if you're working on a project, you name that project, you invite who's on it, and then you communicate through there, so no information is missed. You have your workspaces, which means you just categorize it by department. So your team, you stay within that workspace, and then you have the all company kind of workspace and channels. So you could have, some of them we have 20 different channels, and some workspaces we only have 3 or 4 that we work in. It just depends on how big it is, what projects you're working on. And then when you're done on those projects, you just kind of archive them and they go away and keep it clean. But I think my favorite one is the We Are TC, because that's where our employees celebrate each other and any big wins, employee anniversaries, birthdays, kudos to each other. That's a good one. I think everybody goes to that one all the time. You can see people in there.
And that one's titled We Are the Centr. So that's We Are TC. So that's our company's just way to make cool announcements and get if we have, I think that's where we announce new employees or new employee bios, and people can shout out saying welcome, and it's just a great way to create energy in a virtual environment. So that's awesome. So one of the things that kind of spearheaded me wanting to do this live, we tried this live yesterday and had some technical issues. So I wanted to really get this go on here because there was some really amazing content, and I want to make sure we got it recorded because there really are some misconceptions about being able to supervise virtually. And Janette, will you just kind of give them the story, the experience you had a couple of days ago?
Yeah. I was watching a Business News Morning show, and they were talking with one of their guests about virtual. Like, how do you think this is going to change the world? Do you think that people are going to end up going back to work, or do you think that more people will be able to work from home? And the guest said that he thinks people should go back to work because productivity is less, and it would be devastating to the economy if people worked from home because they need to be supervised. And I thought that was such an interesting comment because supervision isn't being in person walking around. So I was trying to like wrap my head around like, why would supervision is more than just seeing you face to face, right? There's different pieces to it. So that's when I told you about it. And we're like, that is not true. Actually, productivity is actually higher working in a virtual world because all you have is that communication and productivity. Those two things, everything else is not really something that you have to deal with. You just see, you can monitor Slack and people's work and projects, and everything's so visible that you know when things aren't working. You can actually see, like, if there's messages popping up, you're like, uh-oh, there's two things happening. You've got really good news and we're celebrating a win because that's what we do as a company is we celebrate those wins every day. Or there's something happening where maybe there's a technical issue or one of our clients needs our help, like maybe we need more phone support and all hands on deck. So you can, as a supervisor, go in and jump in right away and celebrate with your team, or you can help support the team with how they need more resources and you pull in other departments in.
Yeah. In fact, we've had some projects where literally we had a client call us up and like, we have to shut down a center in like one day. It was like 24 hours or the next morning. And they're like, can you answer all of our phone calls? Can you send out text messages for us? And can you coordinate with all of this? And so we literally pulled together this massive project in such a short time. The team pulled together, people that weren't scheduled to work jumped on, and they don't have to commute to work to do that. And it was just an amazing thing to see everybody come together. And so I agree. Like when people ask me, like, what are the cons of being virtual? It's like, honestly, I've had brick and mortar companies. I mean, we've been in brick and mortar for all the years I've been in business. Last of the 14 years I've been in business, 5 have only been virtual. So I've been in brick and mortar companies for 9 years. And like, I can't think of one thing that is worse virtually than it is in brick and mortar. And I honestly say that, like, there's so much of the drama that will come from an office goes away virtually. You literally only have productivity and communication to go off of. So it's the exact opposite of what that guy was talking about with, it's like productivity is actually what you have. And so it weeds out a lot of the people that are just kind of thinking they can get away with a virtual job and not working. It's like you can spot when people aren't really giving it their all, or if they're not communicating well, or they're not showing up to meetings, or they're not meeting their commitments. It's like those stick out like a sore thumb because all of the other things that come into a brick and mortar are not there. So yeah, that's great. Okay, so I wrote a few notes. So we wanted to talk about the misconception of supervision. So maybe, Janette, do you mind talking a little bit about, because I always believe in leadership and like, what is a true leader? Versus like, it's not micromanaging. Do you agree? Like, what do you think is supervision, or what I would rather call leadership?
For me, like, leadership really is that support role to the company and the team, because they're the ones working day to day with the clients doing these tasks, getting things done. And leadership really is making sure they've got the resources that they need, that they're being heard, that they're being trained, that they're listened and supported to. I think that with supervision, I think just consistency in what you're doing. So daily stand-ups, you meet with them every morning or with whatever teams that you're working with. And that, as long as you're consistent and people know and they have those expectations, and they know that they're open to talk to you and ask questions. I think that we have a very healthy, open company where people can challenge each other all the way up to the leadership level where they can challenge and be like, I don't think this is right. I think we should do it this way. And you listen, and then you implement, and then they feel like they have that trust and that they can go to you. I think that's really what leadership is. It's not about like, did you get this done and how fast are you doing? Micromanaging doesn't really work. It's just, it's not going to build people up. It's not going to get people to be able to be at their like highest potential if they're scared to be able to actually provide like what their value is, instead of like, well, what do you want me to do? We want you to, I don't know, what do you think you should do? And I think that asking that back is even better, because they might have a different idea, because you don't want to just do everything that you want them to do, right? You want people to be able to use their skills. That's why they were hired, because they're creative and they're smart.
And Janette really does do that. She asks, so what do you think you should do? And it's really interesting. So when we have new employees come on, like when we talk about, like, we want you to make decisions, we want you to use your brain, we want you to think. And it makes me realize how many companies probably don't do this, because I really feel like there's this I don't know, detoxing stage, or maybe that, I don't know, like rehabilitation stage that we have to go through with a lot of employees, where it's like, no, like seriously, you have a voice here. And like, if you tell us, like, we will listen. We will implement it and look at the big scope and take it to heart. And I think just so many employers don't do that. And it's sad to me, because it's like, we have amazing people and amazing talent in this world. And we want to make sure that we're capturing that. And so I just love that. Hi, Caitlin. Hi, Emily. I see that you're on.
Oh, you can see people? Hi.
Yeah, can you see it on your end?
No.
So we're using this new software. It's called StreamYard. I was referred to it, and I love it. I can see the comments on the side. I can see how many people are on, how many people are liked, or how many people have liked it. So it's pretty cool. Hey, my son is actually, yep, he's on. He's quarantined in Washington, D.C. right now. So he's got nothing better to do than watch me on Facebook Live, apparently. So cool. Let's see. So I think that's so big. It's like, empower your employees, make them, like, trust them. And it's not about micromanaging them. And how many times in a brick and mortar office, I mean, you're not going into their office and sitting there and looking around their computer. And so people think just because it's in a physical world, you're able to see more. But so often we're actually in our own offices, not even communicating in a brick and mortar, other than at the water cooler, right? So no, that's great. Janette, did we talk about, it's been a long week, so I don't remember if we talked about this or not, but did we talk about your personal traditional experience versus being virtual, and just how you've kind of gotten acclimated to it?
Yeah, it's still interesting to think about, like, after going from just a traditional kind of model and then coming to this. It's so much, the communication's better. It's fast, though. It's a really fast pace, which I really love fast pace. So this is a really good fit for me, because you do have people who are counting on you to be able to move. So things move faster, quicker. I remember, like, I would just, going in a traditional office, we'd have a meeting, then we'd have a pre-meeting, and then we would have meetings like followed up from that. And like, things were just not as fast. It's just like, you have to turn things over quickly, and we're so efficient because it is processed, right? You've got everything's through technology. So everything's so high tech, and the process is so fast. So you end up working fast. It's like, we talk about this, we make fun of the how many years we work here. So if you've been here for a month, we're like, oh, you've been here for like 4 months, or maybe even longer, because you just get so much information. And the first 30 days is pretty tough, because it's like, whoa, what's going on? It's like everybody's around you going really, really fast. And then eventually, after 30 days, you get caught up and kind of get settled in, and then you love it, because it's easy, and you can find all the communication in a traditional office. Everything's not as visible. Like, you can really, really see everything that's happening. Like, I love that I have able to see all the teams and kind of what they're working on, and being able to jump in and celebrate. I wouldn't have been able to do that in a normal office, because I wouldn't know what anybody was working on. So how do you really supervise in that setting when you don't know the ins and outs and the day-to-days of what's happening? And in Slack, you see it. Right now, I could go in and see what everybody's kind of doing. It's not micromanaging. It's just really seeing what's out there.
Yeah, no, that's great. It really is fast paced. And a lot of times people will be like, oh, but you're probably like a gig or freelance. And it's like, no, we are a legitimate typical company virtual, we actually don't hire freelance gig. We want people to feel like they're a part of our culture and a part of our team. And so they very much have to be behind our mission and behind our core values. They have to commit to meetings. They have to commit to daily stand-ups. They have to deliver when they say they're going to deliver. They can't like pick and choose, well, I'm not going to work for the next 4 days. It's just that's not the way our company is structured. And so if you're saying, well, we're more of a traditional company, like it really does work for the more structured companies. So no, that's great. And Janette and I are probably a really bad example because we love what we do. So like we're like, oh, we forgot to eat lunch today. We just keep going, and we're probably not the best role models with that, but we really do move fast. And I see that Ashley, Jordan, Amy are on. See, we got a lot of our team is on, cheering us on. So that's great. Let's see, what else do I have on here? Culture. On Thursday, we're going to do a live, I guess that's tomorrow, with Whitney, who's over our employee experience channel in our company, and she is amazing. We do she is over employee engagement and stuff for our company, but then we do a lot of it for other companies as well. Like probably half of our business is just employee engagement programs for other companies. And so do you mind, Janette, maybe talking a little bit about culture, because we're going to talk more about today, but how do you feel like culture has been virtually, and how do you keep a culture in a virtual environment?
I think that with the culture in a virtual environment is that we really fleshed out what our core values are, and we really talked them through as the entire company. And, we sent out a survey, everybody answered, and I don't remember how many responses there were, but I'm sure we had to pay like 50 different types of, right. You had honesty and integrity, and then people would just describe what a value meant. And we had all those, and we kind of got together as a leadership team, and we grouped them together. And I think that by doing that, like listening to the team and what's important to them and what's important to us, but keeping in mind, like, our values represent us for the way that we kind of manage the teams and how we interact with our clients, because we really do care about everybody. We equally care about the clients as we do with the employees. And so those values, I think that we've integrated that into the employee experience program and every decision that we make. And I think that when you talk with Whitney, she can talk a little bit more about how she's doing that, because I think it's amazing how everything that we do when we celebrate, it's tied to something. It's tied to one of the values that we have. And I don't know, I've never worked for a company where I actually was able to remember all the values.
And just because I love them so much and they're action oriented, why don't you just list all 4 real fast? And I wanted only 3 or 4 because I wanted people to remember them. So we just list them just because they're so great.
Yeah. So it is do the right thing. Embrace the uncomfortable, get it done, and build people up. And you can remember those 4 because those 4 are so important in every decision that we make. When you think about like anything that impacts the company, you're like, are we doing the right thing? Is this building people up? Like, it really keeps you focused on that when making decisions, because then you build trust in the team. Right? Because if they know that we've woven it into our language and the way that we communicate with each other, and we celebrate, like our team gives kudos to other teams all the time, and they tie it to the values. So I think just building that culture is I think we have a really good solid foundation for our values. I think that really helps.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's funny. I hear some of the people, Ashley and Jordan, are like, we hear Slack notifications on the live. I think is that you, Janette? Because I think is it mine? I swear mine's off. Okay, regardless, if you hear that, it's a test to see what sound you think that is. But Ashley and Jordan already picked it up. So no, that's great. So I know another big concern is time zones and maybe the distance between people. Do you want to maybe talk a little bit about how we manage time zones and all that?
Yeah, time zones, it's great for our clients because we can serve from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Across the country. But how we communicate is we have our teams and we know their schedule. Everybody has it on their calendar. So we really know when people are on and when they're off. And you just make sure that when you're scheduling those meetings, those are the meetings that are mandatory, right? You attend them. And if you can't, you let somebody know. The time zone. So I think that's where you can find the bulk of the meetings is between when you get like the 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time to about 2 to 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, because any earlier on the East Coast, it's too early for the West Coast. If it's too late so we try to keep them all smushed in the middle of the day. But for the most part, everybody's on Everybody's available. But I think with having everybody across, even with time zones, like right now, when we have something going on where I think you gave an example last time, Mia, when there was the Florida, when the hurricanes come, they're like, oh, my power's going to go out. And then we have people on the other side of the country. They're like, I'm going to be able to take that project on for you. So there's no downtime. I mean, we actually just can keep things moving pretty quickly. I'm just seeing what she's saying.
I know, Emily. She's like, I'm alive. She apparently gave us an angry face. Now, when people see our live, they're going to be like, somebody gave them an angry face, and they're going to think that we said something terrible you don't agree with. Thanks, Emily. Just kidding.
Yeah, so that's with the time zones and being spread out all over. You really can help support those people who are in other areas where the power, it does go out. The power's going to go out, but we're not all down. The whole company's not down when one area is down. We can really help each other.
Yeah, and we're actually looking at embracing more of a 24-hour time zone so that our morning shift doesn't have to come to like thousands of things to do, because clients will send us stuff in the evening, and so we're really looking to really make sure we can serve around the clock, and then nobody feels like they're coming their day like rushed. Jordan's on. He's the one that gets inundated with cases first thing in the morning. So cool, that's great. So we talked about some tools we can use. One, we talked about Slack, which is an instant messenger. Another big one, we use Zoom, so any type of video kind of conferencing. And I think I've said this in another live, but like if you don't do anything else, like do live videos when you're virtual. Do not live, but like I guess they're live, but face-to-face videos. Turn your video cam on, your webcam on. It is such a great way to make sure you're connecting with people, that you can, you just get to know people, and friendships and trusts, and so much is built through video. And if any of you have ever seen that YouTube video with the conference call, if you haven't, Google conference call on YouTube, and it's the most hilarious thing. And then you'll understand why you should do video, because otherwise you're talking all over each other, and you don't know who's talking or who's assigned what. And so just do video. It's if you just implement that policy from day one, people will be used to it, and they won't fight so hard that's part of the rules of being virtual. So let's see. We talked a little bit about open door policy. Janette, do you want to maybe go a little bit deeper on that?
So open door policy is, just similar to what you would do in a traditional office. If the door is open, you feel free to go in. And I think everybody has an open door policy across, but what we really do is I could right now, if somebody chatted me, I could be in a meeting. This is even better, because I could be in a meeting for the next couple of hours back to back, and I can see a notification pop up and someone says, hey, do you have a few minutes to chat? I need some help. You can jump out right away, pause yourself. You're like, oh, hold on, I'm going to pause myself. I'll be right back, and be able to address it right away. I think that open door policy is really important. People know, like, if they try to get a hold of us, that we will, if it's important, we will 100% jump out and help them. It doesn't have to wait till like, well, there are meetings all day, so I can't get in to talk to somebody. You're like, no, I actually can jump out really quick. I've got 5 minutes. Let me help you. And then I can jump back in.
Yeah. And the amazing thing with virtual is your meetings can be recorded. All your Slack messages are documented, and it's not from a micromanagement perspective, but it's that we're all in this together as a team. And if we can help each other or spot gaps or help each other out, like that's what's so amazing about it. And then, or you can reference back to Zoom meetings when you need them. And so it's just, in fact, when I have in-person meetings, I actually struggle with those, because I'm like, oh, it's not being recorded, or I don't have the meeting to go back to. And so you just get used to being virtual and really enjoy it. So that's great. Can you think of some other, like, maybe meeting etiquette that would be important for people to know about?
Meeting etiquette, definitely have your camera on, have your audio on, turn your camera on mute if you've got background noise going on every day, especially right now. We know all those kids are off school. And so, we know that they're running around and they're excited that the days that they have school off. But, just be aware of, like, kind of your environment behind you, making sure it's kind of neat and clean and, presentable, especially if you're meeting with clients. And making sure that you show up on time if you can. And if you can't, let people know. I think one thing is, like, if you can't make a meeting, let people know why, instead of just not attending. Just kind of basic courtesy of just any meeting.
Yeah. And, being virtual is getting more popular, so it's less taboo, like obviously you don't want your kids always running in when you have client meetings and things like that. But every once in a while it happens. I went on live yesterday and my kids kept opening the door and like, go outside. And so like things like that happen. And if they're, and you just take it what it is and, and then move on. And it doesn't need to be an embarrassment thing. It's just, if we all just realize that we're all people and have personal lives too, it makes it much better. So you have this level of professionalism and this level of, hey, we're people too. And I think it's just a great way. That's the, I don't know, just that's why I think people enjoy working virtually. And the other thing that I'll mention is that in a virtual world, people will be like, well, don't they get distracted with things, or you can't ever shut it off because, you literally could have your Slack on your phone and you're always getting pinged. And so we just put a lot of that onus on employees to manage that. And you can spot really quickly if people are trying to take advantage of it or not produce from it. Because those that are here, that are working hard, that want to earn their keep, that know that they need to provide value for the money they're given, like you'll see that, and then you'll be able to trust that, they're going to be able to get it all done. And the benefit is yeah, they get to go put their laundry in throughout the day and rotate it. But there's times in the evening or a project is an emergency and they jump on when they're not scheduled to work. And so there's benefits both ways that you get. And I think even though it's harder to sometimes shut things off, virtually, there's a lot of benefits. Like I love being able to go in the kitchen and make my own lunch, or reheat your hot drink or whatever it is. Like those little things like that are just, or like Janette, how many slippers do you have? You're gonna announce it to the world here.
I know I have like 10 or 12 pairs of slippers, and I have my bear slippers on most of the time. But I do. It's too many, but it's like I can wear them though.
Yep. No, and so obviously we want to look professional from the waist up, but like I'm in yoga pants right now, and it doesn't matter, And so it's just great. It allows people to just be able to balance their life. The commutes are terrible, in a lot of cities, and so it just gives a lot of benefits all the way around. It benefits the company and it benefits the employees. So
yeah,
cool.
And I see that Joy said that Zoom recordings have helped her for reference. And that is a huge thing, is having those recorded meetings. If you do miss them, and I know that you mentioned that, but also when you're having even client meetings, because you don't have to transcribe and take all those notes anymore. And you don't have to have everybody on the call. You could have a small meeting with the client and then be like, oh, you know what? I should have this expert listen to this and see if there's anything that they can do to help. And then just share it with them and see, what ideas do you have to help with the client? Yeah. It's so funny.
Joy says she has 3 slippers, so she's going to tell her husband to stop judging her that she has 10 slippers. So no, well, you can just see a lot of these people on the Facebook feed right now commenting are actually employees of ours. We love to have them jump on and be a part of it. And so you can just see a level of the culture that we have, and it's just really, really neat. And so we want to inspire people to work virtually. And I hope throughout this trial that we're all going through, and this where we're all having to work from home, there might be able to be some good that can come from it, and hopefully inspire some other companies to go virtual. And honestly, if you have any questions or you want us to show you how to do something, we're an open book. Like we're not holding anything back. So like we've had people comment on Facebook wanting to know how we do certain things, and then we just record a video and show it to you. Or if you want to jump on a call and talk about it, like we just want to inspire a virtual culture and a virtual environment, and really, it's just helps families be stronger, and it helps so many. It just has so many benefits from it. So, Janette, do you have any closing remarks before we get off this live?
No, I just want to please reach out if you have any questions. It's all about tools and what you're using. Everybody on the same platform. Get all your team to buy in on it. And if you're at home right now and you're like, we've got a whole team who had to just start working from home right now, we're happy to give you those tips and help you out, because we've been doing it for a while, and I think we've got done a pretty good job. So yeah, reach out.
Awesome. All right. Hopefully this was helpful. On Thursday, let me look really fast on my calendar. Thursday at, when is that? Oh, it won't let me. Hold on. Okay. I think it's 2. Ashley, are you on? Is it 2? Okay. Anyways, I think it's 2. We'll post an announcement. But we're doing a live on Thursday with Whitney. He's over an employee experience program and channel for our team. And she is amazing. She has like the biggest heart you'll ever meet in a person. So it's amazing. So thanks everybody for joining. We've got quite a few people viewing. So this is great. So, all right, we'll see you on Thursday.
Yeah.
Thanks. Oh, Ashley said 2 p.m. All right, see you on Tuesday or Thursday, 2 p.m. Bye.